Call the meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Target,
Here.
Levin,
Here.
Marabella,
Here.
McCarthy,
Here.
White,
Here.
Whitmore, Bruno.
Here. Please stand for tonight's invocation and pledge. Tonight's invocation will be provided by Pastor Doug Carlson with the Grace Missionary Church. Thank you, Doug.
God, Heavenly, thank you so much for this day. Thank you for this evening. Thank you for a new year and a new decade. You know, Father, your word tells us that our life consists of 60 or maybe 70 years. Either way, Father, if we're counting in decades, one of those is gone. And we have a new decade and a new opportunity and a new day to serve you. So I pray, help us to take charge of the stage of our lives. Father, help us to count our days, as Scripture says. We may apply our hearts to wisdom, which really means to make our days count. And I pray, Father God, that for each of these fine people, and thank you for what they do for us, for our community. I thank you, Father, for the authorities that are in position over us, which are given to us by you. And I pray, Father God, that all of our citizens would be respectful and appreciative of these who serve. I pray, Father, for wisdom. I pray, Father God, for comedy. I pray, Father God, for unity. I ask you would receive honor and glory in this council meeting, in this fine community, in this year that you've given to us. And we ask it all in Jesus' name.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First item is approval of previous meeting minutes. I need a motion to approve the December 3rd, 2019 regular board meeting minutes.
So moved. Second.
Any discussion on that? Roll call.
Target,
Aye.
Levin,
Aye.
Marabella,
Aye.
McCarthy,
Aye.
White,
Aye.
Whitmore.
Motion carried. We move on to old business. There is none, so we move on to village administrator's report. Greg Jackson.
Mr. Mayor, members of the board, quickly going through some of the first of the year notables regarding the administration. From finance, we continue the budget cycle. We made a concerted effort to reduce spending to make sure we came within or below the budgeted number on expenditures. We have, based on the current reporting, current projections, we have succeeded in making sure we maintain our level of spending to be at or below budget. However, we are looking at revenue shortfalls, and the significant one on that revenue shortfall is the landfill tipping fees. We have a meeting later this week with SWACO to discuss a lot of things related to the landfill, a number of items, including future negotiations. So hopefully we'll get some more light shed on why the tonnage decreases have happened. Capital improvement plan, all the capital requests are in. We were at 2.2 million. We brought it down to about $1 million in requests because of properly projecting out the other capital improvements. Debt tolerance analysis, we should hope to have done by the end of January to give us a better idea of our position in regards to debt tolerance. From an information technology standpoint, the RFP has been released for the website. We've had 3 companies respond so far. The IT consortium that we're looking to start to gain economies of scale and improvement in services with the IT has significant interest. Wadsworth Beach Park, Round Lake, Zion Park District, and Zion Library District have expressed an interest to be part of the consortium. So we'll move that forward and see how we go. Boards and commissions, the Mayor's Senior Advisory Committee will have its first meeting on Thursday, the Select Committee on Senior Programs and Senior Outreach. Human Resources, we're working on no tolerance language for the employee manual and the CBAs as it relates to cannabis. I've sent to the board members the recent laws that have been enacted as part of the 2020 calendar year that took effect on July 1st. A couple of things we have to take note of: our equitable bathroom provisions.
January 1st.
Did I say July?
July. That's okay.
Let's go January. And the minimum wage. We currently have in our wage policy a range of $8 to $9 for some seasonal temporary help. We need to, by state law, jump that up to $9.25. We're working on the redistribution of the old TIF funds. We're currently working with a member of GFAO to help us in our approach to doing that. Cannabis, we have a company who is engaged with an LOI right now, or is in the process of doing an LOI. We hope to have some more information on that by the end of the week. I shared with Trustee Marabella and Trustee Levin a few minutes ago that based on the current sales that have taken place in Illinois during the first week, there'd be an average, if you took the 43 dispensaries that are licensed right now, of $7,674 in new tax revenue at that 3% per location. And if you expanded that out to 52 weeks, which the number won't be consistent with that because the trend's going to go down,
Right.
but it would still be, over $100,000 per municipality.
So they're gonna run out of supply?
Some of them already have.
Already have.
Already have.
And there's 1% sales tax on top of that, too.
Right.
So it comes to 4.
So it's a nice dollar amount from a tax standpoint. In fact, some of the communities that have said no are taking a breath and saying, well, maybe we should think about it. Lake County is talking about a moratorium, so.
For the unincorporated?
For the unincorporated areas, yes. Harbor Brewing was approved for by the state of Illinois for the Lakefront Craft Beer Garden down at the marina. They will be coming to us for a liquor license and discussing their plans for that location. I've already received the drawings. I asked to meet, Trustee Hargit's had communication with the owner. I've asked to meet with the owner. We're meeting with Julie, and I are meeting with him tomorrow to discuss what he sees as the plans for down there, and just to kind of get a feel for what's going to happen down there. And then he's going to put in his appropriate paperwork. The narrowing Sheridan Road, I don't think I was able to present that because it happened after our last time we convened. A couple of months ago, we asked Baxter and Woodman, we engaged Baxter and Woodman to do a road study of Sheridan Road through the business district to see if there was an opportunity to narrow the street. Purposes of that is to incentivize and make more visible the businesses on Sheridan Road. If you were to give it a vision, if you were to look at it and think, what are we talking about? Imagine, as close as I can get to it, imagine Milwaukee Road in downtown Libertyville. So that would probably be the best way I could give you to describe it.
And we're talking one lane in each direction with on-street parking?
With the turning lane as well.
With the turning lane.
Right.
Yeah. Right.
The discussion of doing this, we expedited the traffic study because of the fact that IDOT has plans in 2021 to do work on the road. So we wanted to make sure we could get in there ahead of time. That being said, Baxter Woodman did the study. They shared it with IDOT and CMAP, Metropolitan Agency for Planning. And IDOT said, yeah, it meets the criteria. And they said, let's have further discussions with CMAP and see how we can work it into our plans for what we're going to do on the road. So it was very much positive communication. We're waiting for some further communication between IDOT and CMAP and Baxter Woodman, but the first shot at this ends up being very, very positive for us, or appears to be very positive for our streetscape plan, that the second phase that we've been talking about over the years. So we're pretty excited about that. When we got the notification, it was a highlight of that week. And then Parks and Rec, I've come up with a $25 million grant for funding that's available for park equipment. So the grant is due on the 21st, so I'll be working on that grant over the next week in concert with Scott.
What's the dollar amount on that?
$25 million.
Really?
Not for us.
Okay.
But there's a pot of $25 million
Okay.
that we can turn around and submit for. So I'll be working with Scott on that to see how we can move that along, and also give Scott a chance to get experience with state level grants. That's all I have this time.
So the state's still gonna maintain the traffic signals?
Yeah, we're not taking ownership of the road.
Perfect.
Question on the RFP from the website, is that deadline February 7th? It went out January 7th.
February 7th is the proposal opening.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, 30 days on it. What I did with the RFP proposal was I broke down every element we wanted to evaluate.
Right.
So that way we didn't have to search documents, and plus we were consistent with apples to apples comparison. So it would make our job easier, and it would make the company submitting the proposal would make their job easier as well.
Yeah, I read the RFP, it's very good.
So, all things, we budgeted for this year. It'd be nice if we can get it executed by this year. So, but it'll transform what we have now to something that will be so user-friendly and communication and transparency that I think both the taxpayers and the staff and the board are going to appreciate the new system.
I saw the example websites that you added in that RFP, it's very nice.
We're looking forward to that as well.
Yep, thank you, Greg. Okay, we move on to mayor's reports. I need a motion for adoption of code of behavior and conduct for village elected and appointed officials.
So moved.
Second.
What brought this about?
A few months ago, village administrator Greg Jackson and village attorney Bob Long, we were talking about, I don't remember what, but this popped up, and I asked if it's something the village has already set up, and it was basically said, no, we don't have this. Does other municipalities have it? They do. So I asked Greg and also Bob Long to put one together. So, Bob, would you like to elaborate? I mean,
You're not gagging anybody, you're not putting a gag order on me over here where I can't speak my mind or anything, that's all I care.
No, this has absolutely no effect whatever on what's said in this room.
Okay.
Other than one point, which is, the idea that when staff or, people that are working for you go and do what the codes require, you should work this room to make change rather than tell them they're doing their job wrong because they're following the rules that you've set down. That's the only impact it will have in this room. You're still, the idea, this doesn't undermine the liaison basis. It simply is an acknowledgement in large part that for the first time we have professional management in the sense of the village administrators, so you have a little different line of command about the way things work. And it tries to make things a little more streamlined and a little clearer chain of command so that the staff knows who they're supposed to report to, and the sort of things that they should be talking to you about, which is especially during budget time. And, these are initiatives that they want to put forth and maybe some political backing. But other than those kind of issues, day-to-day operations, they should always be turning to Greg and or to, chief if they're a police officer, or Justin if they're a fireman, or whatever, to their department head for direction, and that way they know that they're getting, if they do what they ask the question, they get an answer, they should be able to rely on it.
Is this pretty boilerplate as far as what other municipalities have?
It's not terribly different from what a lot of places have. There are a lot of nuances of it because there's no model template out there that comes from the IML or something. This originally came from a professor of political science at Northern Illinois University. Is what he came up with.
I think in general, I think in principle, I agree with it. And like that, I even ran into a situation this week where a resident reached out to me, and I kind of reached out to Greg and said, "What's the protocol now? Right? Should I be reaching out to a department head? Do I just, bring everything through you? How does operations work?" The section on the meetings here, the one piece, because it does get into, don't interrupt people when they're speaking, right? Some of that's common sense, common courtesy. It sounds like now, though, it gets into if we as members of the corporate authority want to speak, we have to be recognized by the mayor and his mayoral authority to speak.
If you really look at the existing code, that's what you're supposed to do anyway.
Well, you've just been letting these meetings run amok.
That's exactly right, because so far in the 20-some years I've been here, we haven't had a big issue with that. I'll tell you the most common one is Robert's Rules of Order actually says that no trustee, once they've been recognized twice, shall speak again on that topic, and I'll be damned if I know anybody that ever shut up after on something that they felt passionately about. And that's an example of the way in which these rules that get written down, they're not necessarily, in all instances, carved in stone so that you can't be flexible about it, or so mandatory. They are, however, inspirational and aspirational. They're trying to tell you a good way to approach the way in which things can work and the way that government can work best for the citizens and that the staff can work for you.
I think too, what was important in this, that is the recognition that you are a representative of the village of Winter Harbor as a government official. And if you are, let's say, in any kind of a political discussion or in any kind of discussion and you're voicing your opinion, you should make it very clear that it is your opinion and it doesn't belong to the village of Winter Harbor. And I think that's where sometimes it gets a little confused, you know, where we, as a corporate authority, are you representing the village of Winter Harbor and are you stating a fact for the village of Winter Harbor? You know, the ground becomes a little bit shaky on that part, so we have to be cognizant of the fact that we do represent 24/7, and if we make a statement, is it our opinion or does it belong to the whole of the corporate authority? Because if you're just making a statement for everybody, and 6 of you disagree with that statement, that's wrong. So
I'm always gonna make a statement, and I'm always gonna have my opinion, and that's just the way I am. You guys all know that, but I'm not gonna hide from that. And I've never said it as that I was speaking for anybody. I normally speak that I'm speaking for myself. And I'm very good about that. I know that, because that's what I do. I would never include everybody in something I say unless we voted on it and made it actual fact.
absolutely.
You know, being the mayor, I'm not going to, you know, tell the trustees you can't speak. I mean, I don't think, in 2.5 years, I don't think I've ever had an issue with that. I'm gonna allow everyone to address the board, and we'll address whoever is addressing the board, but I don't want, you know, anyone to treat us wrong, or I don't want anybody, us to treat anyone else wrong. So,
I like it.
common sense, basically. And, so we're not gonna be running these meetings on Monday.
As long as I can still banter with Maribel,
All right, got a motion second.
I just
roll
have
call.
a question that's,
Oh, sorry.
we use the word code of behavior, but there's, you know, reading this, there's not any, like, consequences, so is this something where there's actually binding language in this to hold us accountable, or is it more us committing to the?
It's aspirational
Okay.
and inspirational.
That's what I want to make clear, yeah, that what we're doing, you know, to everybody, that this is not something that's binding us to.
Well,
you know.
there are problems in trying to impose codes of
Right,
behavior
right.
that talk to speech.
Right, and that's why I want to make clear that,
It's not that.
yeah, that's not what.
That's what I thought.
What this,
That's totally
yeah,
wrong.
yeah.
If any questions come up after this, you know, you can always talk to Greg or Bob, so I feel it's fine. All right, great. Anything else? All right, roll call.
Target.
Aye.
Levin.
Aye.
Marabella.
Aye.
McCarthy.
Aye.
White.
Aye.
Whitmore.
Motion carried. We move on to the second item, approval of the contract consolidation of copier equipment and services. I need a motion to approve that item.
So move.
Second?
What this is, I was surprised when I saw, and we all have it in our packet, but in the next 5 years, by consolidating the copier equipment and service, it's gonna save the village $26,228.40 from what we're paying right now. It's quite amazing. I didn't think it would be quite that high, but as you all know, when I became mayor, I wanted to find, you know, whatever we can, see if we were spending money we shouldn't be spending, and maybe cut our expenses. And we did it with the alarms, the credit card processing, and now the copier equipment and services. We're not done there either. We're going to continue. So I just want to let everyone know this is you know, $26,000 over 5 years. That's more than I thought it would be a savings for us. So thank you, Greg, for doing that.
Good job.
Okay, I need a roll call.
Target.
Aye.
Levin.
Aye.
Marabella.
Aye.
McCarthy.
Aye.
White.
Aye.
Whitmore.
Motion carried. I need a motion to set aside the rules of the president and board of trustees to waive the first and second readings of an ordinance amending BYOB regulations, making the pilot program permanent and expanding it to additional businesses.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, I need to, as you see under your item number G under there, I need to make a correction before we approve it. If you look at item G, it says, no alcohol may not be consumed in the premises at any time between 11 p.m. and 11 a.m. the following morning. It should read, no alcohol may be consumed in the premises at any time between 11 p.m. and 11 a.m. the following morning. So that's the only change. So we're gonna make that correction. And, anybody have any discussion on that?
The addition of tobacco dealers for this is new, right? And so that's thinking specifically of like the vape shop? Or
No,
this would be
there-
any,
This would be anybody that had that class of tobacco license, class B
Okay.
tobacco license. So if a cigar shop set up shop, if the vape shop that already has that class license, if another one opened up in town, yeah, they could do that. If this comes as a result of a business that came to Julie and has been looking for this classification. And so as a result, we're trying to be friendly to business and put their proposals before the board. That's what I've done.
Sure.
It's not my job to pass on the merits of the issue. But since these BYO regulations have been in place for a couple of years, we might as well make it permanent. That part I felt it was about time.
sure. BYOB, it clarifies, is not allowed to have gaming, right? It's not,
That's correct.
does not replace the.
Right.
Yeah, we haven't had a problem with anybody asking. And in fact, to make it clear, a BYO permit is not a liquor license of any kind. It's a business license of a very specific type.
Good. Thank you, Bob. Any other discussion on that? A roll call, please.
Target,
Aye.
Levin,
Aye.
Mirabella.
Aye.
McCarthy,
Aye.
White,
Aye.
Whitmore. Aye.
Motion carries. We move on to clerk's correspondence.
I have none.
We move on to new business, committee reports, finance, trustee White.
Thank you. I move we approve accounts payable warrant 2019-15 in the amount of $119,101.05.
Second.
Any discussion of the warrant? Roll call, please.
Target,
Aye.
Levin, Mirabella.
Aye.
McCarthy,
Aye.
White,
Aye.
Whitmore. Aye.
Okay, and move to approve November 2019 treasurer's report.
Second.
Any discussion on the treasurer's report? Roll call.
Target,
Aye.
Levin,
Aye.
Mirabella.
Aye.
McCarthy,
Aye.
White,
Aye.
Whitmore. Aye.
Motion carried. Thank you, trustee White. Move on to community development, trustee Hartnett.
I move to approve the resolution appointing the chief elected official to the zone management board for the Zion Benton Enterprise Zone as presented.
Second.
Any discussion on that? Okay, roll call, please.
Target,
Aye.
Levin,
Aye.
Mirabella.
Aye.
McCarthy,
Aye.
White,
Aye.
Whitmore. Aye.
Motion carried. We move on to public hearings. We just ask that you provide us with your name and your address. Anybody like to address the board?
Hello, how you doing?
Evening.
My name is Marquise Barnes. This is my wife, Paulette. We're the ones, that's my manager over there. We're the ones interested in opening up a cigar lounge here.
Okay.
And I know we've been working with you and working with Julie a lot, so I appreciate the help. One thing I did want to just like to start the hours would be 11 p.m. Is there any way possible we can just for Saturday, Friday and Saturday to 1 a.m.? Because it would be more lucrative for us to continue with
The normal liquor license is 2. I know we're one of the later ones in the area. Can't remember. Do you know?
Is it 2?
Yeah, it's
Is it
Is
2?
it
I would just interject this as the village, as the board entertains the petitioner's question, is that I've been approached by a member of the board to potentially discuss us looking at the liquor licenses. I haven't had a chance to talk to this, because it was fairly new communication. Haven't had a chance to talk to the village attorney yet about one of those things being the hours that we are open, to take a look at. So just that we're going to be revisiting that. I'm going to put together a package, working with Bob to turn around and see what makes sense, what doesn't make sense, in comparison to other communities and what else we offer. Just as you guys are listening to this, I want to make sure that I throw that out there.
Okay.
It's fresh, brand new, just, we haven't had any discussion yet.
I'm gonna suggest, based on that, then maybe we revisit the discussion of hours for this when we look at the other liquor licenses.
Yeah, I think that's probably, yeah, once we decide what we're gonna do with the liquor, liquor license.
Just wouldn't make sense to go back and do it twice, and if we don't do anything, we don't do anything.
Okay.
So,
Okay, we'll look into that. Thank you.
Thanks.
Anybody else? All right, move on to unfinished business. I'll start down, trustee Whitmore.
Yes, so right now we have spring softball and baseball open for registration. Then we also have our winter Zumba starting on January 16th, and it will run every Thursday at 5:30 through March 5th. Then we also have our Kids Fit class starting up this next Tuesday, and will run every Tuesday through March 17th. And then our next teen night will be held on January 10th, this Friday, and that's for all 5th and 8th graders. And then the next week, Friday the 17th, will be our gym night for K through 4th.
Thank you. Trustee McCarthy.
I just want to thank the police department for their work over the last month. I know there's been some tough situations and some busy ones, and just thank them for working hard over the holidays, keeping us safe, but also, the way they serve the communities.
Trustee Hart.
Just to highlight, there was a sort of grassroots social media effort to recognize businesses in the area. So they asked people to nominate and then vote on the best of the Zion Benton area. And so we did have 5 businesses in town that ended up being recognized. So we had the best bar or tavern was Harbor Brewing, best daycare provider was Kirsten's Home Daycare, best insurance agency was Michelle Funk, best pet grooming, Bark and Call, and best pizza was Roma's. So congrats to all of them for this esteemed recognition.
And thank you, Trustee Harder, for letting us know. I didn't know. I knew of some of those, but not all of them. So. Trustee Weiss.
Thank you. I would like to propose a retreat for the trustees to go over finance, infrastructure, operations, and personnel, where department heads would make their presentation to us and what they do and how they operate, and that we can get a better understanding of each and every one of the department heads' operations and how they perform. And I think that would be just, would help us in the way we communicate with one another to understand the departments that we oversee as policymakers, and this would give us more information on how to handle it. So between now and whenever, we propose that to have a retreat for one day at the community center. We would provide for food and then have the department heads come in and speak to us, and we could have questions.
Okay. You can talk to Greg about that, or?
Yes.
Okay.
Would you that as a? Yeah.
So, maybe a Saturday or a Sunday, which would probably be easier than a weekday. I mean, I'm retired, any day is good for me.
They're all Saturday.
Weekends.
So,
all right.
yeah, but we can, give some input to Greg, I guess, would that be okay?
yes.
To see what day would be best for you. Sometime in the future, we can all get together and have a retreat.
Okay. Thank you.
Hmm?
Trustee Levitt.
I have nothing.
Trustee Marabella.
We're in the process of hiring an employee. Everybody knows we're down an employee, but not to jinx us. It's been a great winter, so, but the process has been whittled down. We're in the process of eliminating people from that, and we'll be interviewing. On that note, we've had very little salt use, which is always good. It's very cost effective, just like, you know, the cost of heating the buildings and stuff. It's been good. Like I said, I'm not trying to jinx us or anything. They've been out patching the roads, doing other stuff that we normally are too busy to do, so it's been a very good month of December and start of January for the Public Works. That's all I got.
Thank you, Trustee Mirabella. Yeah, I'd like to thank everyone for coming out tonight. You know, coming out, nice night, but, you know, I don't wanna jinx it either, but it doesn't look like we're gonna have a great weekend, so. That's basically all I have, so I'll just ask for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All right, roll call.
Target.
Aye.
Lynn.
Aye.
Mirabella.
Aye.
McCarthy.
Aye.